Today we'll be doing a pelvic stability routine. Let's get started. We're moving into inchworms. Start standing on one side of your mat. You're going to fold forward, rounding your spine, soften the knees as you need to, and walk it out to a high plank. From there, walking your feet slowly towards your hands, just as close as you can. Stand up and repeat the movement for 45 seconds. So letting your back round, opening up in the spine and the back of the legs, holding in that high plank for a second, and then walking your feet towards your hands before you stand up. All right, and time's up. Come back to center. We're moving into a knee hug to swing. Standing on your mat, drive one knee in, and then wrapping your hands, squeezing it into your chest, let the leg go, and swing it back. Catching it in, and swinging it back. Repeating this movement for 30 seconds. So we're really just focusing on opening up and warming up in the hip. All right, time's up on that side. Go ahead and switch for 30 seconds. All right, and time's up. Back to center. We're moving into a single leg deadlift with a dumbbell. You're just going to need one dumbbell for this one, holding it in the opposite hand to leg that you're working. Roll your shoulders down and back, letting your body hinge, drive the hips back, keeping that weight close to your body. So you're engaging the back, building tension in the back of the leg, then down through the heel and forward through the hip. We're going to repeat this movement for 45 seconds. So really just watch that you're not letting that weight fall forward. You want to suck it in and keep it in as close to your body as you can. Again, not about depth, it's about driving the hips back. Having both hips facing the same direction, which is down towards that mat. All right, time's up on that side. Go ahead and switch, 45 seconds. Keep tension between your shoulder blades, your chest is pressed, back is flat. All right, time's up. Come back to center. We're moving into a T-raise. Standing with your feet hip distance apart, micro bend in the knees. Drive your hips back and bring your chest to face the ground so we're in a hinged position. From here, arms straight down, you're going to rotate so your thumbs are facing outward or your pinkies are close together. From here, you're going to open the arms up wide, bringing them in line with your shoulders, and then back to center. Repeating this movement for 30 seconds. Now, depending on how heavy of weights you have, you can also do this body weight, as it's quite a challenging movement. We're really focusing on building strength into the stabilizers of the shoulder and into the back. All right, and time's up. Come back up to center. We're moving into a dumbbell squeeze. Seated on your mat, you'll have your dumbbell set out by your feet. You're going to be heels down, toes up, so that the dumbbell's placed in between your feet. From here, you want to press inward against the dumbbell like you're squeezing it with your feet, keeping your knees pressed out in line with your ankles, so you also feel your inner thighs and hip stabilizers engaged. So we're squeezing everything in without letting your knees fall in. So keep those knees pressed out, hands are behind for support, and just holding that contraction for 30 seconds. At any point you need to, you can relax and then redo it, but just holding it for as long as you can. All right, time's up. Relax, back at center. We're moving into bird dog. Coming into tabletop position on your mat, hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips, feet are relaxed. From here, take your hips and tucking them under slightly to make sure that low back is neutral, belly button is drawn in. Holding that position, you're going to extend your opposite arm and leg out, keeping them in line with your body. Pause, then bring it back in and repeat on the other side. We're alternating for 45 seconds. Think about keeping your hips even as you extend that leg out, just so that when you're lifting, it's not higher. So tucking it down, really focus on using pelvic stability and engaging your core. All right, time's up. Come back to center. We're moving into kneeling pelvic tilt. Coming onto your mat, on your knees, with your hands extended straight out from your shoulders. Relax your feet down and sit back onto your heels. If this is uncomfortable at all, feel free to place a cushion or a pillow on top of your heels. So from here, we're going to use our lower abdominals and pelvic muscles to rotate our pelvis. So think about tucking the pelvis under, using those lower abs towards your belly button to tilt it. Once you have that tilt, hold it. You're going to drive up, press your hips, slight squeeze of the glutes, and then return back down. If you can continue holding, you'll just go through those movements. And if you feel like your pelvis went back to that original spot, each time you're at the bottom, re-tilt it before you press up. So we're going to repeat this movement for 45 seconds. So at the bottom, I want you to constantly think about lower abs pulling towards the belly button, getting that tilt before you press those hips up. All right, time's up. Go ahead and relax back onto your mat. We're moving into a tabletop press. So coming into position, hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips, feet are relaxed. From here, you're going to spread your hands and your fingers nice and wide. You want to think about grabbing onto the floor, so driving your fingers into the ground and bending your finger joints. Having that slight bend, continue to press into the fingers and try to lift your palms slightly off the ground and then relax back down. Grab back onto the ground, lift the palms, and repeat this movement for 45 seconds. So the more weight you have forward, the harder it is. The further back, the easier it is. So you can adjust according to what your hands can do. So you might be feeling this right into the palms and the hands as well as the wrists. All right, time's up. Go ahead and relax. Back on your mat. We're moving into a hip bridge lift. Lying on your back. Feet are planted, knees are up. Arms relaxed out to the sides. From here, have your feet at least hip distance apart. Drive down through the heels and up through the hips. You're squeezing the glutes and we're holding. From here at the top, you're going to alternate, keeping one leg planted, extending the other one straight, keeping your thighs even and your hips stable. So you're not rocking or moving side to side. Slight pause, bring the leg back in, and then repeat that lift on the other side. We're going to alternate for 45 seconds. So your main goal is to keep the hips still as if you were always having two legs down as we alternate one at a time. So you can have your arms relaxed out or on your hips as a helpful reminder to keep them stable. Remember to keep those hips pressed up, engaging the glutes as we do this. All right, time's up. Lower your hips and come back to a comfortable seated position on your mat. Nice work today. Let's get into our cool down. Next, we're going to stretch out the neck. So seated comfortable on your mat, take one hand with the fingers extended and walking them out away from the body. Just so that arm is extended, you're still sitting upright. From here, relax your shoulders down and tilt your ear off to the opposite shoulder. We're going to hold for 30 seconds. Okay, time's up. Back to center and switch to the other side. Walk the fingers out, arm is extended, shoulders down, and ear to shoulder, holding for 30 seconds. All right, time's up. Just relax back at center. We're going to stretch out the hamstrings with a dynamic seated split. So coming into position, sitting up nice and tall, drawing your legs as wide as you can that still allows you to sit upright. From here, rotating your chest towards one foot and hinging, keeping the back nice and flat, chest tall, reaching with your hands just as far as you can. Once you're in that position, you're going to slowly walk your hands out in front, all the way over to the other side, rotate your chest, slight pause, and just keep going back and forth for 1 minute. So take your time. If one side feels really tight, you can hang out there for a few seconds before you continue moving those hands back and forth. You want to try your best to keep those toes facing upright. All right, and time's up. Relax back at center. That's all for today's routine. We'll see you back here tomorrow.